The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman.
Welcome back to the show. Dave Coleman here for Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. We'd really appreciate it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We're slowly moving up the monetary ladder, so need a lot of help from you guys. If you have not already shared or liked the show on YouTube, please do so. I would really appreciate it. So this segment, I want to change the subject just a little bit and talk a little bit about DNA. I've been seeing a lot of shows, a lot of instances on social media where men are finding out that children that they fathered are not theirs. And fortunately, and it just makes you wonder over the decades. And let me just share a personal story with you. I never knew my father. Never knew him. Right now, we are going through Ancestry.com, myself and my daughter, to try to find DNA evidence of who my father really was. Because the person that was told to me was not my father. Yeah, I hate to say it, but my mother lied to me all my life and never told me the truth, even on her dying bed. I don't know why. And as you all may or may not know, at one point in Tennessee, I ran an organization called I Love My Children Too. And we had championed DNA testing mandatory. That was over 20 years ago. We championed that. We never got any ground. We never gained any ground on it. But now today, with DNA testing being more readily available and you can get a turnaround in a week's time, it is important for us to start and for me to readdress this again. That's why I'm taking this segment to do so. Every child deserves to know his or her father. A parent has no right to hide, take, or talk bad about another parent, particularly the father. You see, here's the thing about DNA testing. See, the mama knows it's her baby because she's carrying that baby for 9 months. The father doesn't know. He would like to believe that that woman has been faithful, but in this day and time, it's in this day and time where women think they're men and who can go out and sleep around anytime they want, it is imperative that we have some type of legal apparatus that can protect men and children from lies that women tell. Now you might say, well, Dave, men lie too. Yeah, men lie a lot. Yeah, men will lie to get in a woman's pants. They do. But at the end of the day, when it comes to creating a human being, a new life, then it's not just incumbent upon the man or the woman, the father or the mother, but it is important for that child, as he or she grows, knows who their father is. I used to always say the common denominator of all the negative behavior our children participate in is fatherlessness. Whether it's drugs, gangs, violence, early sexual activity, the common denominator is fatherlessness. I proffer, and I don't care if the LGBT community, whatever y'all call yourselves, get mad at me. I believe that the reason there has been an explosion in the gay population is because there are no fathers in the house. Mothers raise, and particularly males. Even women say some of these males are so soft because they're being raised by women. Look, I was raised by a woman, but you know the difference is that my mother knew it was important for me to have male role models. So she put me in everything that had a male leader. Boy Scouts. Spent, 10, 12 years in the Boy Scouts. In fact, my 3 favorite people that molded me were Boy Scouts, were Scoutmasters. Ben Madry, Samuel Hudson, and Clifton Towns. Those were positive, strong black men who moved and shook the city that I grew up in. And because of them, I am the person that I am today. Fathers are needed. Fathers are wanted by their children. In fact, the great late Jawanza Kunjufu talked about the importance of black males. He talked about having 2 clients where he went into the houses and one of the women had the young boy sitting down to pee. And he talked about, he instructed this young lady, but that was a female activity. A female act to sit and use the bathroom. He should stand up and aim his weapon. And her argument was, well, she makes him sit because when he tinkles all over the toilet. Instead of taking time out to teach him, she started retraining him as a woman. You get this, right? My argument is that part of the reason that the gay population has exploded is because of women. He don't need a man. He don't need his daddy. And the courts have stood around and allowed this to happen. So now, if you've got a person running for office, what I would love people to do, and what I'm going to do, is put out a questionnaire. Because I'm planning to bring I Love My Children 2 back and begin to ask questions. And I'm going to ask the question to these politicians: are you for mandatory DNA testing? Because it should be. It should be. Because this is happening too frequently. I saw a video of a man who realized that had fathered this child, and it ended up, and it was sad because, see, usually who ends up getting hurt are these children. He found out that the child was not him. It was a little girl. And he was having a birthday party one day, and the little girl and her mother showed up at the birthday party. And the father didn't want the little girl there. In fact, he basically turned the birthday party out. Now, every man reacts differently, but this man was hurt. He had loved this little child, and these women who make the argument, well, you raised him all this time, he yours. You see, that is discounting the feelings of that father. You see, y'all say that men don't understand what it's like to be a mother. See, y'all don't understand what it's like to be a father. Okay? The same emotional ties that you have to your children, fathers have that too. We're just not allowed to show it off because we're called weak. But it is important for us to begin to ask the questions. It's imperative that we begin to ask and demand state legislators to put in mandatory DNA testing. Because these women out here today are just as wild as some of these men out here. And they don't mind going out here, sleeping with multiple men, getting pregnant, and then deciding, I'm going to choose that one because he makes the most money. Or I'm going to choose that one because he drives the best car. Or he has the best job. Or he's cute. Whatever reasons that they're doing it, I don't care. If you want to be liberated and expose your body to multiple men, that's your business. I don't care. What I care about are these children who deserve the right to know who their fathers are. And more importantly, these men who are being accused and many who are paying child support for children that aren't even theirs, even though they believe that the children are theirs. That's not fair. I would say that's not America, but it is America. And I think more and more people have got to start asking the question to these politicians, whether it's state and federal. It's just one simple question. Are you for mandatory DNA testing? Ask that question. Because you need to know. Your children need to know. As a matter of fact, you wouldn't want your son raising a child that isn't his, that he thought was his. Now, men marry women who have children all the time. That's not the point. The point is that those who believe that that child, that he's been with that woman through the pregnancy, the staying up overnight, and then 5 years later he doesn't know, or he finds out that the child really wasn't his in the first place. And what makes it even worse, she knew it. Ask the question to your politicians. Are you for mandatory DNA testing? We'll take the top of the hour break. We'll be back in a moment. We got to jump into this Trump crap. Oh my God, America is going to hell in a handbasket. Hang on. Back in a moment. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. On joynetradio.com.
Attention entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and soon-to-be 501c3 organizations. My name is David W. Coleman, and I want to ask you a question. Are you looking for funding for your business or organization? The new year is upon us, and it's time to get those grant proposals ready. Deadlines for submittals will arrive quickly, and I can help you put your best business foot forward. There are multiple funding sources available to assist you in completing your mission. You just need to know where to look. If you are new to proposal writing and need tips on where to search for funding, this seminar is for you. I'll help you demystify some of the myths relating to grant writing. I'll give you great proposal writing tips to help you get your submission in the A-pile. I'll point you to funding sources that most people ignore when pursuing assistance. It doesn't matter if you are new to the game or a veteran in this space. I have no doubt there is information you can utilize to get the dollars flowing to your business or organization. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme, but tried and effective methods to be successful. If you want to know more, respond with the word grants in the comments below, and I will send you information on the very next Grants and Federal Assistance Seminar. In the meantime, keep looking for that funding, and I'll see you at the next Grants and Federal Assistance Seminar. Hi, I'm David W. Coleman, host of Black Focus Radio and the Weekly Sports Magazine. We here at joynetradio.com would like to thank you for all the love and support you've given us. Our goal is to keep you inspired and informed daily with quality programming from gospel music, news, talk, and sports. Log on to joynetradio.com for the program lineup, and while there, be sure to make a donation. Then download our app and carry us anywhere in the world. Please continue to spread the word about joynetradio.com. And if you are an entrepreneur or have an upcoming event or you'd like to start a show, let the professional writers and producers here at joynetradio.com help you get the word out. Call me at 615-554-0568 for more details. In the meantime, stay informed and inspired daily right here on joynetradio.com.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman.
Welcome back to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me if you'd like to join the show. And before I continue, there are a couple of things that I want to dive into that's on my Facebook wall real fast, because I think it's important for us to understand here. All right? As we move forward, there's a lot of stuff that's been happening. A lot of stuff. And unless you've been living under a rock or something like that, you've got to know that this country has invaded another country. You know, the guy who said he don't want any wars, they've invaded Venezuela. They've taken out the head of Venezuela. They don't care, bro. This is real. This is real. So before we get started, I want to read something to you that will set this up for you. All right? Because I thought it was fascinating when I saw it. And I had planned to talk about this, but I didn't know this was going to come across my wall. It's kind of weird. It says, what the Trump and the United States is doing in Venezuela to destabilize and overthrow President Nicolás Maduro is not new. It's part of a centuries-old white supremacist playbook. Do you hear what I just said? Which brings me back to what? Manifest Destiny. Let me read, in case you all missed that earlier in the show, let me just read you what Manifest Destiny is. Manifest Destiny was the 19th century belief that the United States was divinely ordained. Divinely ordained. God, white Jesus, white Christianity, divinely ordained to expand its territory across North America from the Atlantic to the Pacific, spreading democracy and capitalism, justifying aggressive western or westward expansion, displacement of Native Americans, and conflicts like the Mexican-American War. Coined by John O'Sullivan, this ideology fueled territorial growth, influencing events of the Louisiana Purchase to the acquisition of California and Texas, and was a core driver of American expansionism. Okay? Hello? Y'all follow me yet? Now let me go back to where we were. Okay? Democrats and Republicans alike have supported coups, assassinations, regime change, sanctions, and political imprisonment. The driving force behind these actions is not democracy. It is white supremacy operating through empire. The pattern spans the globe. It spans the globe. The record is documented. This is not conspiracy. It's policy. The pattern spans the globe. It's not conspiracy. It's policy. Here is a basic list of Black, Caribbean, and African leaders removed or neutralized with U.S. involvement. In Africa, Patrice Lumumba, the Democratic Republic of Congo, assassinated after a CIA-backed destabilization. Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana, overthrown in a CIA-supported military coup. Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso, assassinated in a coup backed by foreign interests aligned with the United States and France. Hello? Y'all follow me so far? Are y'all getting all this? Amilcar Cabral, Guinea-Bissau, assassinated amid intelligence interference during the liberation struggle. Samara Machel, Mozambique, died in a suspicious plane crash during Cold War destabilization. Muammar Gaddafi, overthrown and killed following the U.S.-led NATO intervention. Nelson Mandela, imprisoned with the assistance of the United States intelligence providing information to apartheid authorities. Now that happened just in Africa. Here's the Caribbean. Maurice Bishop from Grenada, executed during a coup immediately preceding a U.S. invasion. Michael Manley, Jamaica, politically neutralized through U.S.-backed economic warfare and covert operations. Fidel Castro, targeted by numerous CIA assassination and overthrow attempts. Jean-Bertrand Aristide from Haiti, democratically elected and removed twice with U.S. involvement. It just ain't other countries. It's here in America as well. Malcolm X assassinated under intense FBI and CIA surveillance. Martin Luther King Jr. assassinated while targeted by COINTELPRO. Fred Hampton killed in an FBI coordinated police attack. Huey P. Newton systematically neutralized through COINTELPRO. Assata Shakur targeted through imprisonment, exile, and permanent state repression. Today, those same white supremacist forces are actively working to undermine the sovereignty of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. We've been talking about that for the last year. These nations are being targeted through sanctions, diplomatic isolation, proxy pressure, and media warfare for rejecting Western domination and asserting control over their resources and futures. White supremacy is not confined to one political party, and it is not confined to one race. It is a global system of power. Many black and brown elites have defended and benefited from this violence for money, access, and prestige. The truth must be confronted. Understand this clearly. The same white supremacist forces destabilizing Venezuela are destabilizing Africa. The same forces destabilizing Africa are the same forces destabilizing black communities right here in the United States of America. Economic sabotage, political repression, surveillance, propaganda, and militarization are all connected. This is one system. This is one struggle, and it is all connected. Their tactics never change. Why is it that the global majority, 85% black and brown people, struggle to counter a global minority of less than 15% who wreak disproportionate chaos and destruction throughout the entire world? That's the question that we need to begin to ask. And as we talk about Venezuela, look, the argument that Venezuela was supplying drugs to America was a bald-faced lie from day one. Trump has had a hard-on for Nicolas Maduro since his first administration. A lot of it has to do with what? Oil. Corporate America. You see, what you all don't understand is that corporate America has benefited from wars more than anyone else. Huh? You don't believe me? Well, let me just proffer this from the Cato Institute. The famed military-industrial complex was in trouble in the mid-90s. The Berlin Wall had fallen. The Warsaw Pact had lost its purpose. The Soviet Union was tottering. Colin Powell would soon muse that he was running out of enemies. Hello? It looked like America would finally pare down the massive war machine developed to contain the evil empire, as President Reagan famously termed the USSR. But in August of one year, the Saddam Hussein, Iraq invaded Kuwait. The MC at the convention of the military contracts publicly thanked Hussein. War, again, was on the national agenda, and the Pentagon could count on increased appropriations, much of which would be funneled to what Dwight Eisenhower famously termed the military-industrial complex. A decade later, private firms similarly featured in the global war on terror. Business included arms, support services, logistics, weapons, maintenance, military training, security, the latter made infamous by Blackwater in Iraq. Afghanistan alone ended up costing the American people over $2 trillion, much of which went to the famed merchants of death, ultimately outfitting the Taliban's army after the Kabul government failed. Writing for the Watson's Institute Cost of War Project, William Hartung of the Center of International Policy and recently offered a comprehensive assessment of who made more or who made how much over the last 2 decades. It is a depressing tale of corporate America doing well while the rest of America did badly, bleeding and paying. That a few profited so much should come to no surprise, since the American political system increasingly has been shaped to reward the well-connected and the well-heeled. The amount of money involved is enormous. Corporations large and small have been by far the largest beneficiaries of the post-9/11 surge in military spending. Since the start of the war in Afghanistan, Pentagon spending has totaled over $14 trillion, 1/3 to 1/2 of which went to defense contractors. Y'all following me yet? Hello? Some of these corporations earned profits that were widely considered legitimate. Other profits were the consequence of questionable and corrupt business practices that amount to waste, fraud, and abuse, price gouging, and profiteering. See, I remember when they was talking about $500 hammers and $700 toilet seats. I remember that. So much spending in any form is bound to have negative consequences. Waste, fraud, and abuse has also become the cliche of a catchphrase for problems afflicting virtually every federal program. They always talk about waste, fraud, and abuse, but they don't ever talk about it when it comes to the military. For instance, privatizing key functions can reduce the U.S. military's control of activities that occur in war zones while increasing risk of waste, fraud, and abuse. Additionally, that the waging of war is a source of profits can contradict the goal of having U.S. lead with the diplomacy in seeking to resolve conflicts. More broadly, the outsized influence of defense contractors has resulted in growing militarization of American society. This is manifested in everything from the Pentagon's receipts of the lion's share of the federal discretionary budget, more than half, to the supply of excess military equipment to state and local law enforcement agencies. Now, I wanted to set that up for you because I want to talk about what's going on in Venezuela. Now, as I said earlier, drugs had nothing to do with this. I personally believe it has everything to do with the oil that Venezuela has. Now, some would try and argue that Venezuela was sending oil to China and sending oil to Russia. Well, that's their right. That's their oil and that's their country. So some would argue that, well, that's what we needed to do. Well, are we on the brink of World War III? Because if this oil is going to affect China and Russia, then could we possibly see war coming? Is what is happening in Venezuela right now, is it a prelude for war? I think that's a question that we need to ask. But let me get back to this drug thing. Because the bottom line is this. They said that Venezuela was supplying drugs. And 100,000 Americans have died from drugs, which, by the way, that number is a lie. And let me just say this again. Anything that comes out of the Trump administration is a lie. Okay? How do you know they're lying? Well, their mouths are moving. And I know that's a cliche, but everything that comes out of that administration is a lie. But they say that Venezuela was supplying drugs to Americans, okay? The bottom line is this. The drugs that are coming to America is not coming from Venezuela. Let me tell you where the Venezuelan drugs are coming from. Or at least where they're going. They're going to Europe. So are we fighting this for Europe? So what happened to America first? Are we fighting this drug war for Europe? Or are we fighting the drug war? Well, wait a minute. Let me take that back. Maybe we're fighting on the wrong front. Could that be? And when I say we're fighting on the wrong front, just imagine you're at war and you're defending the left front, but your right front is totally undefended. And everything in their mama is coming through the right front, but you're defending the left front. Does that make sense to you? If you are fighting for the war on drugs, as you claim, by the way, this is the same country who imported cocaine into America, into the black community. This is the same country who thought that giving drugs to the black community would kill off the black community. See the Iran-Contra scandal. See Gary Webb at the San Jose Mercury News, who ended up blowing, at least look what they say, is that when he uncovered the fact that America, Ronald Reagan, Oliver North, was flying arms to the country in Nicaragua. He was flying weapons to Nicaragua, and coming back in those planes were filled with cocaine. That's not a conspiracy theory, folks. That's a fact. And as a matter of fact, Gary Webb, who was the reporter for the San Jose Mercury News, uncovered this thing. And you know what happened to Gary Webb? You know, they said they found him. He had committed suicide. And he had shot himself in the head 2 times. Not once, but twice. So let me get this straight. Gary Webb, who had uncovered one of the biggest news stories in the history of America, decided that he was going to commit suicide and blow his brains out. So what happened? Did he miss the first time? Well, he couldn't have missed the first time because they said he shot himself in the head twice. So let me get this straight. He shot himself in the head and he said, oh, you know, I must have misaimed. I'm going to shoot myself again. That's a true story, by the way. Go look up Gary Webb and just do a Google for Gary Webb, the San Jose Mercury News, and read his story. Some of you all are trying to forgive Freeway Rick Ross. You know, the guy, not the rapper, but the guy who worked with the CIA to get these drugs that was flying in from Nicaragua and distribute them throughout the country. And what they did was they distributed them mainly in the black community. Thus the creation of crack cocaine that devastated our communities. It devastated mine. Part of the reason that I moved out of Little Rock, I tell people all the time, because I was afraid that I was going to end up dying in the drug battles. Because they were everywhere. This was back when I left Little Rock in 86. It was just now beginning to explode. The little small towns were overwhelmed with cocaine and crack. This is what the American system did. And they did this because I read that story about war and who benefits is because the people who benefited from that were people like Blackwater. It was people like Oliver North. Oliver North went on to be crowned a hero. Even today, people call Ronald Reagan a hero. If you know the story of crack cocaine in America, you wouldn't call Ronald Reagan a hero. You'd call him a drug dealer. Because that's what he was. He was a presidential drug dealer. Period. End of story. So you don't really care about drugs in America. You've never really cared about drugs in America. Okay? You've never cared about it. You've caused it. In fact, you've made money off of it. You've made money off of it. You've exonerated drug manufacturers. The Sackler family, as a matter of fact, let me just read something to you, okay? The Sackler family, who owned the pharmaceutical company Purdue Pharma, is widely known for their central role in causing and fueling the U.S. opioid epidemic through the aggressive and misleading marketing of the painkiller. I got caught up in that. You know, I had surgery years ago. I have 8 titanium screws in my neck and 4 hinges. I broke my neck playing football in college. About 20 years ago, I had surgery. Now, I'm not saying this to tell you that I had surgery. I'm telling you what happened after the surgery. This was at the height of this opioid epidemic. I go to my doctor after surgery. My doctor said, "You're in pain?" "Yeah." "Well, I'm going to give you something to help your pain." He gave me 90 pills of oxycodone. Did you hear what I said? I didn't say 9, I said 90. 90. The next time I went back to his office, he said, "Are you in pain, Brother Coleman?" He said, "You're one of the toughest so-and-sos I've ever met because you don't complain about pain." And that particular time that I went back to the office, it was packed. It was at the first of the month. And all of these white people were in this office. It wasn't many black people. It wasn't any black people. I was the only black person there because I had gotten the surgery done and my insurance was paying for it. This doctor happened to work for the Tennessee Titans or had done some work with the Tennessee Titans. I walk in the office, it's packed to the brim. People are all out in the hallway. I was coming for a checkup for the surgery because he had done the surgery. He took me back and he said, "How you feeling? You got any pain?" I said, "No, I'm okay right now." He said, "Well, I'm going to write you another prescription." I went, "Oh, okay." Now, by the way, the 90 pills that he had given me previously, I hadn't even used them up. In fact, I hadn't went through half of them. In fact, I hadn't went through a quarter of them because I'm one of those people right now who will tell you that I'm afraid of pills. Let me take it back. I'm not afraid of pills. I just don't like taking pills. If I can keep from taking a pill, I will keep from taking a pill. I just don't want to put medicine in my body if I can keep from. Even now, when I get sick, I'm using natural remedies. With my diabetes that I have, I use natural stuff to quell the sugar spikes. And it works. Everything that we need to fix us is in nature. That's another story for another day. That doctor told me that day, he said, "Look, Dave," he said, "I admire you because," he said, "most people," he said, "you see all these people in my office," and it had to be 30, 40 people in that office. They were sitting, they were standing, they were out in the hallway, everywhere. He said, "You see all those people that's out here?" He said, "It's the first of the month." This is the doctor telling me this. He said, "This is the first of the month. And they're here to get their pills." And I asked him, "Well, why do you give it to them if they don't need them?" He said, "Well, I can't determine who has pain and who doesn't have pain. If they are within the formulary, I have to give it to them." So they had made this doctor a pusher. The Sackler family, by the way. This country doesn't give a damn about the war on drugs. It doesn't. Because if it really gave a damn about the war on drugs, you know what it would do? It would bomb Mexico. It would bomb China. Because, all of these pills now, are coming from China and Mexico. Why haven't you stopped it? I don't know. You don't know either. But why haven't you stopped it? Because you know what? The lie was that we're going after Argentina. We're going after Argentina because they are putting drugs in our community. They're killing our kids. Hello? But here's the irony behind that. You know what kills our kids more than anything else in America? See, if you really are concerned about our children, then you should be willing to stop what is killing our children. You say you're for abortion, anti-abortion. You're against abortion because it's killing millions of white babies. You don't say white babies, but that's what you mean. You don't give a damn about black babies. It's killing all these white babies. But you know what kills more children in America than anything else? Y'all ready for this? Gun violence. So if you're really concerned about drugs coming from other countries and it's killing all of these Americans, why don't you do something about this damn gun violence? Why don't you pass common sense legislation to keep crazy people from getting guns? I thought I saw a story the other day. What is it, January the 3rd? And did you know we've already had 2 shootings? But you're concerned about Maduro in Venezuela. That's a lie, folks. That's a lie from the pits of hell. It's a lie. I don't give a damn about y'all. I don't give a damn about drugs. This is about the military-industrial complex going into Venezuela to try and commandeer their oil fields. Who's going to benefit from this? Shell, Mobil, Exxon. It's not going to benefit you, America, one bit. It's going to benefit Donald Trump's cronies. Remember when Donald Trump was running for office before he was elected? He had a meeting with all of the giant oil executives and told them that if you gave me $20 million, I believe it was 20 million or 20 billion. It was a large number of money. I will make sure you get what you want. And I'm paraphrasing. This is what Donald Trump said. So now you've got these oil reserves in Venezuela. You've got these large oil companies wanting to get in there to make money. And by the way, they say the oil that comes out of Venezuela is a different type of crude, so it requires more refining. But I'm going to say it like this. Oil is oil. Period. Even after you have to double refine it, so be it. But all of these companies now are, yeah, Trump, yeah, but you our dog, man. Yeah, we gonna make billions off of this. Yeah, you our dog, Trump. Y'all follow me? Don't believe this Venezuela hype. Maduro wasn't doing anything to anybody. He might not have been a nice guy, but you know what? Donald Trump is not a nice guy. Should someone come and remove Donald Trump from office? Because Donald Trump is not a nice guy. Donald Trump is a thug. Donald Trump is a 34-count convicted felon. And so is his buddies. So are we removing people from office because they are thugs? Because they're not a nice guy? Hello? I'm just asking the question here. Let me just follow up something with you on that note. Tell you what, let's take a break. We're gonna come back. I'm gonna follow up with that point here in just a moment. You're listening to Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices on joynetradio.com.
Attention entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and soon-to-be 501c3 organizations. My name is David W. Coleman, and I want to ask you a question. Are you looking for funding for your business or organization? The new year is upon us, and it's time to get those grant proposals ready. Deadlines for submittals will arrive quickly, and I can help you put your best business foot forward. There are multiple funding sources available to assist you in completing your mission. You just need to know where to look. If you are new to proposal writing and need tips on where to search for funding, this seminar is for you. I'll help you demystify some of the myths relating to grant writing. I'll give you great proposal writing tips to help you get your submission in the APAL. I'll point you to funding sources that most people ignore when pursuing assistance. It doesn't matter if you are new to the game or a veteran in this space. I have no doubt there is information you can utilize to get the dollars flowing to your business or organization. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme, but tried and effective methods to be successful. If you want to know more, respond with the word grants in the comments below, and I will send you information on the very next Grants and Federal Assistance Seminar. In the meantime, keep looking for that funding, and I'll see you at the next Grants and Federal Assistance Seminar. Barbecue season is here, and you're still using that 99-cent goop full of chemical derivatives and high fructose corn syrup for your sauce? Stop, please. Get to ribrub.com now and save your next cookout with an array of all natural rubs and sauces. Start with the Dynamic Rib Dust for seasoning and the Dynamic Rib Rub for flavor, and top off your grilled or smoked masterpiece with Dynamic Rib Juice. Don't forget the Dynamic Pepper Juice for just the right kick for those chicken wings. One other thing, you've got to try the delectably delicious Dynamic Rib Nuts. Can't decide? Order a Dynamic gift box and satisfy all of your cravings. Come on, give me your hand and let me take you to barbecue land at ribrub.com. That's RIBBRUBB.com, and we'll show you how to bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah.
Welcome back to the show, Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me if you'd like to join the show. We're talking about Donald Trump and this invasion in Venezuela. You know, it fascinates me that here's a guy who avoided military service. He got multiple deferments because of, you know, we call him President Bone Spurs, because he had bone spurs, but he likes to pretend like he's this tough guy. He's the type of guy who, if you got in a fight, let's say you and your boys, he one of your boys, and you got in a fight with another group, and he's the guy who's gonna run and tell people. He's not gonna stand there and fight. In other words, he's a punk. That's what we used to call them kind of people. But let me just follow up on what I was talking about last segment. Here's this guy's administration, full of thugs and worthless individuals. And by the way, these are the same people who attacked DEI. A former Fox News host who paid a sexual settlement to avoid a sexual assault case is a Secretary of Defense. The former head of the World Wrestling Entertainment, who is accused of covering up the sexual abuse of minors, is over the Department of Education. A former heroin addict who is accused of sexual assault by a former family babysitter is over the Department of Health and Human Services. A 34-time convicted felon and adjudicated rapist who has been accused of sexual assault by 26 women is the President of the United States. When unqualified, morally bereft, white people occupy the highest positions in our government, people need to shut up about black people in DEI. By the way, that's by Dr. Talbot Swan, who I'm becoming a big fan of his. So Donald Trump is a thug. He takes. He doesn't give anything. And he uses other people to do his bidding. And once all of that is out in the open, he abandons them. All these people that are doing his bidding right now under this administration don't realize that they are going to come under legal jurisdiction after he's left office. He better hope and pray, or they better hope and pray, that he issues a global pardon for particular people. Because y'all gonna go to hell, or I should say jail. And you should. This is Donald Trump. So you all tell me, folks. Tell me. Please tell me. Why are you voting for this guy? What does Venezuela have to do with you? Nothing. We can't even use their oil. We got a problem. But this is white supremacy. It goes back to what? Manifest destiny. See, white supremacy manifest destiny was nothing more than white supremacy. And just because some author or writer coined it manifest destiny, that was nothing more than white supremacy. What white people have done to this world is nothing more than white supremacy. See, now you're beginning to see how this show is tied together now, right? Because we started off talking about this in Black Facts. We talked about Mauritius, the African island that is the way it is because of white supremacy. The world is the way it is because of white supremacy. This is not happenstance. Y'all understand that, right? This is happening every day in America, and you can no longer sit back and believe that if you are black, that they have your best interest at heart. You know, I talked about the soldiers who went and fought in wars for this country. That was our Black Fact. When those black soldiers came back from war, they expected or thought they would be treated fairly, but many of them were hung, many of them were assaulted, many of them were, all kinds of things were done to these black soldiers who was across the ocean fighting and defending a democracy that refused to even accept them as human beings. It brings me back to that question I asked earlier in the show. What did black people do to white people? See, black people are the most patriotic that this country has ever seen. In fact, black people are more patriotic than white people, because it wasn't black people who drew arms against America. It was white people. Okay? Black people have fought in the American Revolution. They fought in the War of 1812. They fought in the Spanish-American War. Still, no rights. They fought in the Civil War. Still, no rights. They fought in World War I, promoting democracy. Still, no war, no rights. And it was W.E.B. Du Bois who encouraged black men to go and fight for a country that didn't even accept them as men. Hoping, because I understand Dr. Du Bois' logic, that if you see that black people, even though with all the evidence that they have all previously had, all those wars I just mentioned, with all that evidence up to World War I, that black people were willing to fight for America, for what it stood for, and white supremacy still didn't accept them. In World War II, black people fought for America, came home and couldn't even be part of the GI Bill. In fact, when German soldiers were captured in parts of Italy, did you know that the black soldiers, American black soldiers, had to give up their seats and move to the back of the trains that they were carrying the German POWs? Now, wait a minute. The German POWs was trying to kill Americans who wanted fascism, yet they still, white America still gave them decent and moral passage. And black people had to give up their seats. Black people fought in Vietnam. Per capita, more black people died in Vietnam than any other race of people. Black people have fought in every war in this country. Black people are the most patriotic people in this world, in this nation. Yet, they still treat us like crap. In fact, they wanted to give, there should be a national health insurance. You know why it's taking so long? Because they didn't want to give it took Medicare and Medicaid a long time. They didn't want to give it to black folks. Because they were hoping that black people would get sick and die off. I'm not saying that. Go read your history, folks. What did they say? They said the reason they want to get rid of welfare is because black people are freeloading. They're not working. But then when you look at the numbers, you know that there are more white people on welfare than there are black people. I ask the question again. What did black people ever do to white people to make them hate us so much? That's the question. That should be the question of the year. That should be the question of the day. That should be the question of the decade. That should be the question of the century. What did black people do to white people to make them hate us so much? Hello? Hello? I'm just asking the question, folks, because it's making no sense whatsoever to me, and it shouldn't make any sense to you. So now here we are in Venezuela. Oh, so much for that Nobel Peace Prize, homeboy. You can't be talking about Nobel Peace and you bombing other nations and destabilizing other countries. This is typical Manifest Destiny. This is typical white folks. Oh, by the way, why don't you go into some of the white countries? Why don't you go into Canada? Why don't you remove the Canadian prime minister? It's always a country where people of color reside. This is not a coincidence. I just read a list. This is not a coincidence, my brothers and sisters. This is a white man running around thinking that because he has the largest military force on earth, that he can just dominate black countries. They're trying to destabilize Burkina Faso. They're trying to destabilize Mali. They're not trying to do it for the benefit. They're doing it for corporate America because Burkina Faso and Mali has all those golds and diamonds. It has all of those. See, Africa has every element that you need in order to do what you do. This is why this is happening. Don't be fooled. Don't buy into this foolishness. Because all it is a bunch of foolishness that makes no sense whatsoever. I'm so glad my son is out of the military. I remember when he said he was going in, I was scared to death. Because, see, I know about Manifest Destiny. I understand it. It is nothing more than a shroud for white supremacy, white domination. That's what this is really all about. And at some point, black people around the world is going to have to wake up. I asked the question, do y'all really know what black people have done for you in America? Because I don't think you do. I think some of you all are so Christianized that you are afraid to really open your eyes. You have cognitive dissonance. You see the things happen right before your eyes, that you refuse to believe what you see. In a nutshell, that's what cognitive dissonance is that although you see something and are presented with the facts that what you see is wrong, You still refuse to accept the facts. That's the definition of cognitive dissonance. Water is wet. No, it isn't. I splash it with a glass of water. It still ain't wet. That's what's going on in America. And when I come back, I'm going to ask the question, do they know in what we must do? We'll take a break. This is our last one. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. On joinnetradio.com.
Attention entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and soon-to-be 501c3 organizations. My name is David W. Coleman, and I want to ask you a question. Are you looking for funding for your business or organization? The new year is upon us, and it's time to get those grant proposals ready. Deadlines for submittals will arrive quickly, and I can help you put your best business foot forward. There are multiple funding sources available to assist you in completing your mission. You just need to know where to look. If you are new to proposal writing and need tips on where to search for funding, this seminar is for you. I'll help you demystify some of the myths relating to grant writing. I'll give you great proposal writing tips to help you get your submission in the A-pile. I'll point you to funding sources that most people ignore when pursuing assistance. It doesn't matter if you are new to the game or a veteran in this space. I have no doubt there is information you can utilize to get the dollars flowing to your business or organization. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme, but tried and effective methods to be successful. If you want to know more, respond with the word grants in the comments below, and I will send you information on the very next Grants and Federal Assistance Seminar. In the meantime, keep looking for that funding, and I'll see you at the next Grants and Federal Assistance Seminar. Season is here and you're still using that 99-cent goop full of chemical derivatives and high fructose corn syrup for your sauce? Stop, please. Get to ribrub.com now and save your next cookout with an array of all natural rubs and sauces. Start with the Dynamic Rib Dust for seasoning and the Dynamic Rib Rub for flavor, and top off your grilled or smoked masterpiece with Dynamic Rib Juice. Don't forget the Dynamic Pepper Juice for just the right kick for those chicken wings. One other thing, you've got to try the delectably delicious Dynamic Rib Nuts. Can't decide? Order a Dynamic gift box and satisfy all of your cravings. Come on, give me your hand and let me take you to barbecue land at ribrub.com. That's RIBBRUBB.com, and we'll show you how to bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah.
Welcome back to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices, 855-525-5683. Send me an email, blackfocusradio@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, as a matter of fact. So I left the last segment asking the question, do they know? And what do I mean by they? I mean black people. I mean black people around the world. They come to America, but see, this is why they don't teach history. Because, see, if they teach history, then they understand. When I say they, I mean the white majority understands, or I should say the white minority understands, that if they teach history, then people begin to understand what has been done to them, and then they begin to change their direction, their purpose. So they don't teach history. They benefit from the fact that when people of color come to America, they don't understand that the reason they're able to come to America and be treated like human beings is because of the black people that were already here. I've watched a few debates of seeing people from different countries criticize black Americans. Take the Republican talking points and champion them. I see that all the time. I see it in debates. In fact, when the thing came out with the Trump administration going after Somalis in Minnesota, We talked about that on the show, where one of the Somali leaders who had been here for 25 years, who was bragging about the fact that he had always been Republican and supported Trump. He don't understand why Trump is treating him and the Somalis the way he's treating them. He forgot he was black. But more importantly, he doesn't know that the reason he's able to have those businesses, when you drive around the DC area and you see all these African businesses and these Jamaican businesses, and you see these different brands of food and stuff like that, they don't realize that the reason you're able to have those things is because of black people in America. Because black people fought black codes. Y'all didn't. Black people fought desegregation or segregation. Black people fought Jim Crow, the KKK, the Daughters of the Confederate. That was black people. That was American black people. Yet many of you all turn your nose up at us. And that's what angers black people in America. That's why black people don't really mess with y'all. Even the Hispanics who now are crying for the help of black people. Oh, where are the blacks? We need them to come and support us. Why aren't they doing something? Well, we're not doing anything because y'all thought y'all were white. And you didn't respect what black people had laid the foundation for you so you can walk into America and be successful. Asians, oh, well, I've been seeing videos of Asians. Where are the black folks? We need them. They're deporting us and da-da-da-da-da. It was Asians who were used to assault affirmative action. Because y'all didn't realize that white people were using you for their benefit. And now you need our help. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? So this segment is called What We Must Do. And I proffer that what we must do and what I will continue to do as long as there is breath in my body is teach, is educate, is learn as much history as I can and depart that information on someone else, particularly a person of color. I've had the privilege since I've been here in DC to meet a lot of foreign people. And I enjoy talking to them about the history of black people because, see, they don't realize that the reason you're able to do what you do is because of us. So we got to teach, brothers and sisters, every chance we get. We got to get off of social media worrying about who's sleeping with who, who's had a baby by who, what color dress someone wore to a fashion show that didn't look too good. We have to teach. We have to teach our children. We have to teach our friends. We have to teach our neighbors. And we have to teach other immigrants, because the reason you are here and able to run your business is because of black people. You come into our communities, you milk our communities with millions of dollars, and you don't share any of it. I've told a story. When I lived in Nashville and we had the flood, was it 2011, somewhere in there. And I've told this story over and over again about how the store on the corner, fortunately for them, the way where I lived on West Hamilton, I lived on a hill, but down below the hill, there was a valley and a creek behind it. It was called White's Creek. And this store was on the corner of the bridge of White's Creek, but it's set up high. And when the flood came, the flood was so high that the houses that were below the hill, the water was up to the shingles. I am not exaggerating. You can go out to my Facebook page. Those pictures are there. The video is there. And I was so distraught. In fact, I was stranded in my house for 2 days. Couldn't get out. Okay? And I was so distraught because I didn't suffer any losses, but I saw my neighbors and they had suffered losses. So what did I do? I decided that I was going to go to the local stores in the neighborhood and ask them to make donations to me. I'm just a regular guy. I'm nobody. I don't have an organization. I just made ask and said, look, people are going to be coming into our community over this weekend to help repair and move some of this debris. I would like to have water, and I'd like to be able to give them hot dogs and hamburgers. I went to 4 different stores. I went to an IGA store. I went to a Kroger that was in the neighborhood that was maybe a half a mile from where I lived. I went to I want to say a Safeway. And then I went to the little store that sat on the corner that used to be white owned because I used to sell my rib rub in that store. And I asked them, could you donate? These were Arabs. And I told them what I was going to do. They said no. I said, okay. I said, I will tell you this. I said, you live in this community. You make money off of this community. Yet these people in this community are suffering because of the flood, and you won't donate any hot dogs or hamburger buns so I can feed these people when they come in this community to help clean it up. I said, I tell you what, you don't know who I am. I said, but I do a radio show, and I'm going to chastise you on my show. And I gave him the name of the show, and I let him, and I said, listen. The next day he called me and said, Mr. Coleman, I'm so sorry. There was a misunderstanding. You can come and give whatever you want. He was willing to abuse our community and make more money off of that community as opposed to helping that community. Because they don't know, because they haven't been taught, they haven't been told, they believe in the stereotypes. What y'all don't realize is that the movies that they import to other countries are the gangster movies, the thug movies. The negative stereotypes of black people is what many other blacks outside of this country believe, because these are the movies that they're watching. Because they don't know. So it is even more imperative today more than ever before that we've got to continue to teach. That is my goal. That is my mission. And as long as I have breath in my body, I will do so. As long as I have a platform, I will do so. I'm not here to make enemies. I'm not here to make anyone mad. If you're mad about facts, then you got a problem. It's not me. It's facts. And the fact of the matter is that this country, that white America and white world as a whole has done more damage to black people and people of color around this world than any other race of people. And they continue to do so. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So it brings me back to the beginning of the show, where we're here at the end of the show, and the question is, what did black people around the world do to white people to make them hate us so much? Because in my research, my 64 years, I have not uncovered one thing. You see, why didn't they drop the bomb on Germany as opposed to Japan? You ever asked that question? Think about that. We gotta go. I hope you enjoyed it. It's called What We Must Do, and that's teach. Out of here, it's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is our number. Don't forget to support our sponsors, joinetradio.com and riprub.com, and join my one-man band to just get rid of the N-word and say, just don't say it. We're not gonna say it. All right? Peace, joy, and blessings. And before I go, let me see. Let me see if I got a quote or something that I can give y'all today, because I know I got something over here. Let's see here. Let's see. Can African Americans be racist when a system they neither designed, controlled, nor historically benefited from? I'll leave you with that question. Y'all have a great day. Peace.
Attention entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and soon-to-be 501c3 organizations. My name is David W. Coleman, and I want to ask you a question. Are you looking for funding for your business or organization? The new year is upon us, and it's time to get those grant proposals ready. Deadlines for submittals will arrive quickly, and I can help you put your best business foot forward. There are multiple funding sources available to assist you in completing your mission. You just need to know where to look. If you are new to proposal writing and need tips on where to search for funding, this seminar is for you. I'll help you demystify some of the myths relating to grant writing. I'll give you great proposal writing tips to help you get your submission in the APAL. I'll point you to funding sources that most people ignore when pursuing assistance. It doesn't matter if you are new to the game or a veteran in this space. I have no doubt there is information you can utilize to get the dollars flowing to your business or organization. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme, but tried and effective methods to be successful. If you want to know more, respond with the word grants in the comments below, and I will send you information on the very next Grants and Federal Assistance Seminar. In the meantime, keep looking for that funding, and I'll see you at the next Grants and Federal Assistance Seminar. Barbecue season is here, and you're still using that 99-cent goop full of chemical derivatives and high fructose corn syrup for your sauce? Stop, please. Get to ribrub.com now and save your next cookout with an array of all-natural rubs and sauces. Start with the Dynamic Rib Dust for seasoning and the Dynamic Rib Rub for flavor, and top off your grilled or smoked masterpiece with Dynamic Rib Juice. Don't forget the Dynamic Pepper Juice for just the right kick for those chicken wings. One other thing, you've got to try the delectably delicious Dynamic Rib Nuts. Can't decide? Order a Dynamic gift box and satisfy all of your cravings. Come on, give me your hand and let me take you to barbecue land at ribrub.com. That's RIBBRUBB.com, and we'll show you how to bake it, grill it, smoke it. Oh yeah. You've been listening to Black Focus, where we discuss our issues with our solutions and our voices. Join us every weekday afternoon at 1 p.m. on joynetradio.com.